So Blake Shapen looked a lot better than Gerry Bohanon in the spring game, but I think it might be missing some important context that works in favor of Gerry. And so one thing that we saw last year is that Baylor really operated with their base run game, and once their run game got going, they would hit teams downfield with a play action pass. Texas had a very stupid game plan against Baylor last year. They thought that their defensive front was good enough to win up front so that they could keep two safeties back the entire game. When you keep two safeties back, it means you don't have enough numbers to defend against the run. And Texas basically just got run over all game. So we see 7-on-7 here inside the box. Baylor has 5 linemen, 2 tight ends involved in the run game. And they're able to open a huge hole for Abram here. They just get a hat on a hat, open up a huge hole. This isn't really the norm, though, for most Big 12 teams. The thing is that in the spring game, because Baylor has the best defensive front in the conference, I think Oklahoma State's probably the only other team that's in consideration with them. They're so deep and so good up front that they don't need to bring down an additional safety. They can do that, stupid Texas game plan and keep 2 safeties back and still stop the run. So there's an additional safety off the screen here. But what we see here is the same idea. It's 7-on-7 inside the box. And Baylor's able to get a 3-yard gain here, but it's not crashing open a wide open gap, and it's not doing enough to force them to bring down a safety to stop the run. When they don't bring down a safety to stop the run, there's not really a big play action passing game to be involved. This is much more of the norm. We saw this against West Virginia last year. West Virginia has 2 safeties right here, and Baylor executes a run fake. And what we see is that both safeties get involved in the run fit. This leaves their corners in isolation against Baylor's receivers. So both safeties crash down. Baylor executes the run fake, and then Gerry hits Taekwon over the top for the deep ball. Here's another example against BYU last year. BYU has a single safety here up top. They've brought their other safety down. Baylor doesn't even have to execute a run fake here. Gerry just looks off the safety, comes back, finds Taekwon on the deep ball. And so I just think this is really important for when we're kind of interpreting the spring game. Gerry's not a guy who's going to win against teams that keep 2 safeties back and play safe coverage. He's not a guy that you use in the drop back passing game. He's a guy who, because he can use his legs in the run game, you set up the base run game, and then he hits over the top. And so the spring game wasn't great for showing